Welcome to this episode of Inspired Aspirations. I'm Patrick Kelly, and I'm joined by Thomas Conroy. How are you doing today, Thomas?
I'm hanging in there, Patrick.
Good to hear. Today we're going to talk about a topic basically about retreats. What is a retreat? What are different kinds of retreats, and what do we gain from it? What's the purpose of doing something like that? So there are lots of different kinds out there. Thomas, you mentioned that before we got on, that you've been on couple of different kinds of retreats. What kind of different ones have you gone on?
Well, there's the ones in college that are more focused around fellowship,
Mm-hmm.
and I've actually led those retreats actually twice, where you get a bunch of men together who might have a lot in common, and you go and try and seek the Lord together for a couple of days, and you build fellowship, friendship, and so that's kind of what the focus is of that retreat. And and also, as well as I've been on, which are going on a Ignatian spiritual exercises mini retreat, where it was very much more silent, and we'd be given more direction about what we were going to do each day, what kind of meditations we were going to do, and what we do in the chapel as well. So the retreats are always, like, if you haven't been on one, I highly recommend it. It's a great time to re-energize yourself in your love for the Lord, and just look at where your life is right now, because it's often very hard to take that step back, looking at your life when you're in the middle of it, because you're always trying to juggle 13 different responsibilities.
Right.
By the time you can't just put them all down and reorder them.
Mm-hmm.
You have to go with the flow. But with the retreats, you usually take a step back and have some time.
It's a retreat. It's a literal retreat.
It's literally, yeah, exactly.
So it's a good time to take a little bit a time every so often, if it's once a year, or how frequently you feel like you need this sort of experience to withdraw or retreat from the world, to seek the Lord in a new way, reinvigorate your spiritual life. And the retreats that I've been on, normally they are, whether they're most of the ones that I've been on have all been directed or led, but the center of the retreats are normally mass and adoration, just some element of silence or quiet time in the presence of the Lord, either in the Eucharist or however whatever setup there is. It's just a good way to take a break from the noise of our lives, to really just like I said, to reinvigorate your spiritual life there.
Yeah.
Now for the Ignatian, like, silent retreat, do you get tired of being like silent, or how does that work?
I think it depends on your personality. Personally, I found it very fruitful. It was a bit, because you'd have meals and you wouldn't be as communal, and for me that was kind of something to get used to.
Yeah.
But after a while, you get into a rhythm of being very contemplative. The only person you'd hear speak is the retreat master.
Okay.
And you get more time for kind of reflection and things that can turn in your head a bit more. Whereas if you're always going and talking, you're going to have to be focused on, like, okay, I have this conversation, this relationship, and it's going to not distract me from contemplation, but it's going to be a release in a way that other thoughts just tend to build up as well. And part of the thing is, for me, as well, is the retreats, especially I've been on, even the retreats I've led, is you don't use your phone.
Yeah.
At all. And for me, that was very kind of hard at first. It's like, I don't know. I have this thing I used to taking looking all the time.
Yeah, it's like an impulse almost.
Yeah, exactly. Like you go to sit down. For me, it's like, I'm gonna check. Like, I don't have anything to do there. But like it's one of those things. Like in retreats, it's weird. There's a rhythm to a retreat. The first day or so, you're just like, I don't know. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Like, it's a bit awkward. But then God willing, by the second or third day, you're just like, yeah, I get this. Like, this is great. Why don't I just stay here for forever?
Right.
But that particular tree I found very, very fruitful, because the more silence and more dedicated. But there's other trees as well, as just you're not so wrapped up in every single moment. Like, there's a statement that says we're in God's time now. We're not in our own time. So
Yeah. I think that's really a good point. To sort of let God work in our lives. In the time of retreat, a lot of times, a lot of retreats that I've been on have been like for sacramental prep. For confirmation or like for First Holy Communion. I have a lot of friends who've gotten married, and a retreat is, depending on where you live and what the requirements are for your diocese, require a weekend retreat, led by somebody who's qualified to sort of coach you along the preparation path to getting married. I think that's really an awesome time for you to contemplate what the beauty of the mystery of the sacrament that you're about to enter into, and to really seek out God's grace for that sacrament. I think that's a really great element of wisdom that the church puts on those sorts of retreats.
Yeah, like either the confirmation retreats, or even there's ordination retreats.
Yeah,
brothers, you might go and take your
take vows or something.
You treat your vows, and it's really time to enter into the significance and the sacrifice of what you're about to do. And there's some full measure of the anticipation forms you in a deep way that otherwise, if you're just kind of going through the daily routine, whereas if you take time to really say, like, no, I'm going to dedicate time to prepare for this because this is serious. Yeah, it allows it to sink more and more.
Yeah, and with every sacrament, we are transformed in some way, be it confirmation or matrimony, or through holy orders, or by taking vows. While that's not a sacrament per se,
but
it is a change, and
yes, exactly.
And through it, we are transformed. And so, I think it's good to take that time to allow for God to work on us and to enter more fully into the mystery of His love for us that comes to us through these sacraments. But of course, as great as a retreat is, it's not, our life is not meant to be a retreat. We're meant to be, we have to go back to the world at some point, we have to go back to our lives. So it's meant to be a pit stop, and then we're able to go back out and do, what we're called to do as Christians and as Catholics.
Yeah.
So, any final thoughts, Thomas?
Yeah, and often the experience is coming out of a retreat. If you've taken the retreat seriously and put the effort in, then you come out with a sense of clarity and a sense of intimacy that you often didn't know was possible before. If you get that, so I understand they form you also. They're a rest, but they also, in some ways, the rest also energizes you in a strange way.
Yeah. So. All right, well, I think we are just about out of time here. If you enjoyed this video, or you thought it was edifying or any way, please like it and share it on social media. You can follow us, our Inspired Aspirations project, on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I think that's all of them. On all of our platforms there. And don't forget to
think Catholic, speak Catholic, be Catholic.
All right, thanks everybody. God bless.